In this session, we will cover the one-to-one relationship in OutSystems Developer Cloud or ODC. We will start by defining this type of relationship, and then we will learn how to create a one-to-one relationship in OutSystems, with a quick demo in ODC Studio. Let's start by considering this example data model, with the order entity and the order receipt entity. In this example scenario, we know that a receipt can only belong to one order, and that each order has at most one receipt. So, this is a perfect case of a one-to-one relationship. To support that, the order receipt is an extension of the order entity. The identifier of the order receipt has a data type of order identifier, indicating that it shares the same identifier as the order entity. This way, since you can't have two equal identifiers in the database, we know that an order can only have one receipt associated with it, and vice versa. Setting the data type of the order receipt identifier to be order identifier is what actually defines the one-to-one relationship. Apart from the data type, the ID of the extension entity must be set as mandatory. However, since it has an entity identifier as data type, the auto-number property does not apply in this case, meaning that the order receipt identifier must be explicitly assigned with the identifier value of the respective order, when a new order receipt record is inserted into database. Let's see how we can easily create this relationship in ODC Studio. Here we are in ODC Studio, with our application open, and in the Data tab. We can see the order entity and all its attributes. To exemplify the one-to-one relationship, we will create a new entity, order receipt. This entity will represent the receipt of an order. Let's start by creating a new entity. By right-clicking on the database element and selecting Add Entity. Let's set its name to order receipt. Now, let's expand the order receipt entity and select the ID. In the Properties area, we can now change the data type of the ID to order identifier. With this change, the ID automatically loses the auto-number capability. Now, when adding a new record to order receipt, its ID must be explicitly assigned with the same value of the respective order ID. This defines the one-to-one relationship between the entities. Let's now add the remaining attributes just to complete the order receipt entity. First, we add the filename attribute. For that, we right-click on the order receipt entity and select Add Entity Attribute. The data type is automatically set to text. Now, we can add the file content attribute, with binary data type. To see a visual representation of the relationship, we can drag the entity to the diagram on the left. The visual representation of the relationship appears immediately between the entities. As a summary, to define the one-to-one relationship, the extension entity must share its identifier with the base entity. In theory, the two entities in this relationship could be merged into one. However, there are some scenarios where it makes sense to split them in two, with the one-to-one relationship defined between them. A good scenario of that is to avoid performance issues. In this example, the order receipt has the file content attribute, of type binary data, which represents the receipt file itself. If we had these two entities merged, whenever we wanted to list all the orders, the receipt files could easily be fetched from the database as well, which can potentially become a heavy operation, since the files can be large. So, having them separated avoids that problem, and we can still easily fetch the receipt when we need to. Another scenario could be when the base entity is read-only, and we cannot change it. So, whenever it would make sense to add extra information to that entity, creating an extension entity would be the best and easiest way to do that. And this is how we can define one-to-one relationships in OutSystems Developer Cloud.